Welcome to Justice Now. So this is part of Workplace Mobbing Part 15. How does it feel to leave the toxic situation? I handed in my resignation. I no longer felt it was tolerable. My whole body just absolutely refused to go, and rightly so, because I do not wish to be browbeaten day in and day out. So I had worked on my exit plan, and I worked on it with lots of dedication, because I did not want to be in a situation or continue in a situation where, if I'm just walking from the cubicle to the photocopying machine, I'm getting all kinds of negative comments from people that I hardly even know. The most that I would say is good morning, how's the weather, goodbye. That's the most. And these people, and I use the term people loosely, these creatures that participated in the workplace mobbing, even on my last day, they continued. I noticed that they were really focusing on one particular colleague that I'd always say hi to, and they were really, really working her over, using the same techniques, coming up to her, telling her, oh, you see how this person is not saying hi to me? You see how she's not speaking to me? Things of that nature, like really trying to turn her against me. And all I did was I just looked and smiled and walked away. These people, they're very dedicated to what they do. They're dedicated to causing misery for others. They're the mad and bitter ones. They're the desperate ones. And they're thieves. And I call them thieves because they rob the target of serenity and peace and financial stability within a workplace, rather than use their own merits to justify them obtaining your position. They would much rather steal it from you through browbeating you day in and day out during the work week. When I turned in the resignation, I felt very good. I felt very good in that I have, for my own self, solved my own situation. It may not be readily available for others to do. That's why I strongly recommend that you work on your exit strategy. I mean, you can stay and go through the process if you have enough of evidence to support what's going on. You can certainly do that, and also keep in mind, when you do have all your evidence to support and substantiate the workplace mobbing that is happening to you, keep in mind that you still may not be believed. You could do everything right, and you can still end up having to leave your job. When is it a good time to resign? Definitely not when you're going through so much emotion. I would definitely suggest that you suspend that notion of handing in your resignation if you're feeling full of emotion about what is going on. If you are going to resign, I would highly recommend that it comes from a place of strength and comes from a place where you feel empowered that you're finding a resolution. Remember, in the earlier videos I had mentioned that these creatures that like to engage in workplace mobbing and who fully know that they are harassing and abusing you and mistreating you, they know what they're doing. They know in their own weird reason as to why they're doing it. even if they don't know you. They will lie about you. They will set you up. They will provoke you and provoke you. Now, if you're in a situation where you've been on a job for several years, severance is about due, or you're coming up to retirement, if you can hang on for as long as you can, try. Some people say that when you resign, you will not get employment benefits. I beg to differ on that, provided that you've inserted into your resignation letter as to why you're leaving. You're leaving because of workplace harassment. Here are the points of what's occurred, who you've went to, how it remained unresolved. I would urge you to put all of that in so that if you go to unemployment insurance and they turn you down, then you can request the tribunal to look at your situation again to overturn that decision. And that can be done. So definitely put in there, and you need to use the language, workplace harassment, that it was a hostile workplace. You need to use language like that, as well as back it up with the examples, going back to your workplace journal and taking the examples from there and put it on the resignation. That way you can say, I did not leave willingly. I left because the circumstances were just too unbearable. And I've tried to find resolution to it, but again, it remained unbearable. And that's a way to protect yourself. But again, it's not, from my recommendation, it is not worth your health to keep fighting these people, because they've gotten their reinforcements, right? If it's not the ringleaders that are going after you, then it's their supporters. And if it's not their supporters are actively turning more people against you. So ultimately, they want the entire workforce to be against you. And this is the campaign that they are dedicated to and want to continue to force you out. Evidently, if they had information on you to have caused you to be fired for just cause, they would have used it already. But because they don't have that, then they will constantly provoke you, and they'll do this under the radar. And then if you turn and say, hey, this is not appropriate, then they will turn around and say even more lies and other allegations against you. It's just not worth it. It's not worth your health. It's not worth your peace of mind. Work on that exit plan and stay out of there. You're not going to be a part of that team. And accept it, understand it, and recognize if you're with a group of people who, again, I use the term people loosely in this situation, but if you're with a group of creatures that actively engage in abusing you, and they don't seem to have any remorse, like you're not dealing with kids, you're not dealing with teenagers, you're dealing with 30, 40, 50, 60-year-olds. And if you got people that are that committed to abusing you, then you need to get out, because they're just not going to stop. The group itself is sick and demented. They decide to collect themselves together under the lies and manipulation of the ringleaders. They're there to create confusion. They're there to just continue a campaign of hate towards you. And it's nothing that you've done except be yourself. And if being yourself means going to work, doing your work, following the policies and procedures, and doing what you need to do in a professional way, and they can't handle that, then they're not your people. They're not people for your benefit. And the sooner you cut them off, the better. And you may need to go through this multiple times. You know, there's many envious people, and it could be anything. It could be the way you wear your hair, the makeup you wear, the clothes you wear, the car you drive, the way you speak, the credentials you have, the experience you have. It could be a whole lot of things, the way you breathe. I mean, they'll just find anything to hate you on. If there's one little hair that doesn't match the direction of the rest of your eyebrows, they might even hate that too. I mean, these people are really pathetic. So you just do what you got to do, and get out. It is not worth your health. It's not worth your time. It's not worth the misery. It's not worth you having to have all this anxiety to go into work. It is not worth you having to, go through that, lose sleep, because you literally lose sleep. I was losing sleep over this. Each time Saturday ended and Sunday rolled around, my anxiety would increase greatly, because I know that I would be going into a war zone, a psychological war zone on Monday. And I no longer wanted to have that happen. And I encourage you to live the best life for you. Now, if you're not in the situation where you can automatically leave, then take time off. Take time off. Slow down your production, so that make sure that you're doing everything correctly. Take time off. Inform your doctor. Reach out to support groups. Reach out on what you can do about your situation. Don't keep it quiet. The reason why workplace mobbing flourishes so much is because there's this silence. There's this silence, an agreement to silence that happens among the group and among the bystanders who see what's going on. And with that silence, that's their cover. Their cover is silence. Speak about it. Speak about it. Do not be silent. Speak about it. Remember, it's not about making friends. It's not about being accepted, because they've already determined ahead of time that they're not going to accept you. They've already made plans for you to provoke you enough, because that saying, they say, poke the bear and the bear will get angry. That's what they're looking for. And they will keep doing this to you until you explode. Keep your composure at all times, as hard as it is. If you have to walk away on your lunch times. Do not stay there if you don't have to. Take time for you. Do what you need to do to take care of you. Again, a lot of targets would like to, try and figure out the agenda of the perpetrators. It's not our job to figure out the agenda of the perpetrators. They're defective. They're always going to be like that. They're in their 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s. There is no chance that they're going to be changing. Do not try to think you can change them. This is what they choose to do. So as soon as you know what they're about, you know what you need to do, which is protect yourself. It's not giving up. It's making sure that it's giving you an opportunity to seek a better environment. If you can't change the people, then you change the people, which means changing the environment. Take care, and you'll wait for the next installment.